This I just think is funny. And I think y'all will get a kick out of this. This is what I call the vacant house hack. Many of you have been taught to drive for dollars. Another old school thing that I don't recommend you do. I told you all the other day, I forget who I was teasing, but I told her to not go knocking on doors. She said she carries a gun. I forget who it was. She said she carries a gun. I'm like, and I know what she looks like, right? So I was like, if I wanted to get that gun out of your hands, I'd have that gun out of your hands in like 2 seconds flat. So you probably shouldn't be carrying a gun around. You ain't Wonder Woman over here. So, but I don't recommend door knocking. I don't recommend. I mean, come on. I mean, are we living in the era of the Flintstones here? Stone Age? Not, you know, there's better ways. However, at the same time, you and your scouts, so to speak, are going to come across houses like this that are boarded up. Grass might be growing up a little bit more. It just looks like nobody really cares about it that much. And it might be for sale, even though there's no for sale sign out there. Could be in an area that you want to canvas, an area that you want to buy in. You've got plans for it, and you really like to find out who owns this house. And you can't get anybody. You skip trace them. Good strategy, right? But you just can't get a hold of them. A lot of wholesalers do this, right? They'll find these deals and they do the due diligence to find out who the owner is and actually do the work to get a hold of the owner, structure a deal with that owner, and then sell that contract to all kinds of fix and flippers or people who don't want to put themselves through that work. That's a great strategy to get paid once. If you want to get paid once, that's why I call it a grind. But, you know, sometimes wholesale fees are in the 6 figures. So it's not a terrible idea. I'm just saying, don't make that your only strategy. Because you can go pick up deals at full price and you can assign those contracts too and make just as big of a wholesale fee with a lot less labor. But here's my point on this. If you skip trace the owner and you can't get a return call because maybe they have 50 calls from various people, and particularly if there's like pre-foreclosures and nobody's living in the house and it's clearly vacant, and every investor in town and every attorney in town and every short sale specialist in town or whatever is trying to get this house. There's a hack that I fell into accidentally that you could potentially use if you want to get a hold of that owner, probably within 1 to 2 days. And here's what it is. I'm just, I reflect back on this. It's so funny. So let's look at the slide here, right? You see the sign down here, right? It says low priced house for sale, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, worth 185, asking 150, and then the phone number, right? Well, this sign was meant to be put on a house that we owned and were selling. I had a guy who would go out and hang our little flyers for, you know, buying houses, basically do the driving for dollars, you know, for me, which you could do, just not really necessary now, but you could do that. And along the way, I'd have him do things on the houses that I had for sale. So keep that in mind as I point out what happens here. So if you ever have trouble reaching the owner of a vacant house and you skip trace the owner and you still can't get a response, and you're worried that your competition is going to get the house first, you could accidentally do what I did. So my guy who was doing both jobs for me accidentally put a for sale sign like this that was supposed to be on another, you know, for a house that we owned and were selling or had under contract and we're selling. Put that sign He put the sign in the yard of the vacant house. Okay. The one that I was trying to buy. But I couldn't buy that house. Why couldn't I buy that house? Because I couldn't get the owner to call a brother back. And I'm tenacious. I was like ugly on a gorilla, white on rice, all over this guy wanting to get this house. There's a lake behind it. It was a big lot. There's a lot that could have been done. Now, here's what accidentally happened. As soon as this sign with my number on it was put in the yard of this house, so I had no idea if the seller would sell or anything like that, or could not even get the seller to call me back. We tried everything, mailing, calling, stalking, could not get a hold of the owner of the house. But as soon as this sign got put in their yard that said low priced house for rent, and then has the number on it, boy, I heard from that owner quick. And I also heard from every investor in town, so I knew who my competition was. But the irate owner asked me to remove it immediately. Now, of course, being the charming guy that I sometimes can be, rarely, that led to a conversation about my buying the house from the dude. And that's what I did. Thus, the birth of the vacant house hack. You can't get someone to call you back, put a for sale sign in your yard. You'll hear from the owner. I don't think I should be recommending y'all do that, but I hope y'all are laughing with